Today includes my friend, since high school, actually, Abby Lane, who is the founder and CEO of Chérie Lane, a fashion brand dedicated to empowering driven young women through classy, chic, and sparkly styles. Now, Abby's entrepreneurial journey actually started when she was just 7 years old when she launched her first business, making and selling jewelry. And now it has grown into this incredible business that she started in her school as a school project at her sorority house. So she's been leveraging every resource at Baylor University to bring her vision to life. And now she works full time as the founder and CEO of Chérie Lane. So we're going to get to know a lot about her, her journey, her vision for entrepreneurship, and the big goals that she has for 2025. Take a listen. Thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited to have you on.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It's my first podcast interview, so all the jitters, but I'm really excited.
Oh, I'm so excited too. And I think we need to share how we met because we met when we were very young.
Yeah.
It was high school and we were a part of the National Student Leadership Conference
Mhm.
and we were ended up being roommates in that program, right? We were in the same dorm space
Yeah.
and we just instantly hit it off.
Yeah. Yeah. I had flown across the country to be at this camp at Yale. First time flying across the country by myself. And yeah, we just hit it off and it was like 2 weeks long, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it
It
was
was the
awesome.
business and entrepreneurship part of the camp, and it was like we were literally talking about building our own business and like what that looks like. And here we are today talking about this amazing business that you have built.
Aw, thank you.
I'm so excited, and I want people to know too that you started your first business really at 7 years old.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you could take us back there. Like, what do you remember most about that experience, and how did it really shape, your approach to entrepreneurship now and just your journey now? Because you were 7 at that point.
Yeah, so when I was 7, I started my first business. It was called Amazing Abigail. Oh, by the way, my name's Abby, but full name Abigail. And it was a jewelry business, and I took jewelry like beading classes, and it wasn't just the little friendship bracelets that you can make from kits and whatever. We were using pliers and wire and crimping and all the things that go into more detailed beading. And we made business cards. I made a website. I put together sampler pieces, had product order forms, took them to all our friends and family, and just anywhere I went, I had those tucked away. But it was very extensive. And at 7, obviously, you don't really know everything you're doing, but it was like, wow, you really have to put all these pieces into motion. And something I really learned was you really need to know your industry inside and out and your product, especially too, to be confident and able to sell it and market it to your clientele. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So take us then from that 7-year-old self to where you are now. Tell us a bit about this journey. What does it look like? And we'll get into your business in a minute because it started as a school project. But can you tell us a bit about what your journey has looked like?
yeah, so I've always known that I wanted to own my own business. Obviously, starting a business at 7, it's kind of just been in my core. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And as I got older into high school, there's these two projects that my high school required as a junior and a senior. They're called the Journeys Project. So you could pick any topic, but it was something that you may want to do a career in and that you're passionate about. And so my junior year, I did it on entrepreneurship as a whole. And then my senior year, I did it on female entrepreneurship. And at the same time, we're applying to colleges, and I'm from the Pacific Northwest, up from Spokane, Washington. And I had to apply to a bunch of schools up there, toured them, just wasn't finding the right fit. And my dad said, "Hey, I think you should really look at this school called Baylor. It's in Texas." And I had heard of Baylor because of volleyball. I grew up playing volleyball for years. And He's like, they have a top 5 entrepreneurship program and it just really fits what you're looking for in a college. And I was like, okay, well, I'll apply, see if I get in and, tour it. And I was accepted. I was so excited. And we went down and toured it and I loved it. And so, since I'd always known I wanted to own my own business, I was like, well, I'm gonna go to this school and take, declare the major of entrepreneurship and corporate innovation as the top 5 program. And yeah, then I started my business as a college school project. And I've always known I wanted to own my own business because just the freedom and flexibility of having something to call your own and you don't have to report to your own boss. And granted, it is the path less traveled and it's harder than a standard corporate job. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I love that so much. I love that so much. Now take us back to that moment, right? You began it as a school project, right?
Mhm.
Um, when did you know that this could be a full-time business?
I really feel like I knew when our numbers, like our revenue really started to increase month over month, the more that I put into it, and it just kept growing and growing. Um, and I was being stretched so thin between, 50, 60 hour corporate work hour weeks and the commute and then coming home and working on the business. There was just not enough time in the day as well as sustaining the growth and continuing it. And so that's when I knew, okay, we're either going to plateau our growth or I'm going to need to take this full time.
Mm, wow. Wow. Now, tell us more about just the business itself. Like we've known that, it's all about empowering women, right? Driven women. You talked about classy, chic, sparkly styles. Just
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about the business.
Yeah, so I like to say we have an avatar. So her name is Hillary, and Hillary is like mid-30s. She's very driven, very ambitious. She has a family. She works very hard at her job. She's high up in her career, whatever that may be. And she loves to express her personality, her bold, confident personality through her style. And she's not afraid to put a little bit more money into her style. And she's affluent and yeah, and we just seek to provide like very statement, bold, sparkly, a lot of it of the time styles to these women so that they can express their personality through their fits.
I love it. Expressing personality, exactly. And
Yeah.
that kind of leads into this question about you had a corporate career and a full-time job in supply chain.
Yeah.
And you decided to leave that to pursue your own business and entrepreneurship. That
Mhm.
is a bold move for so many people and some people won't do that move, right? And you did. So can you take us back to that decision-making process? What was that like for you? How did you know that this was something that you're like, I need to do this. I'm going to do this.
Well, I had always wanted to take it full time. Like that had always been the end goal. Obviously being an entrepreneur, wanting to do it as my career. Um, and it just started to get to a point where the business started to plateau and I was being really stretched to, thin between my time of working corporate and working on the business. And I got to a point where I was like, I'm gonna have to go for it or I'm just gonna be stuck here and maybe even have to close the business because there's just not enough time and energy or enough of me to keep on this trajectory. And I actually started meeting with my business coach that I have now, Brandy. She's been life-changing to me in more than just one way. She's helped my business grow in so many ways, but also develop me as a business owner. And I started meeting with her and I said, "Hey, this is where I'm at. I'm kind of at this crossroad. I'm really stressed, like mental breakdown. Like I cannot keep managing both of these things and sustaining, staying healthy and everything. And so how do I get to that point?" And she really helped me develop the confidence to take that next leap. It almost felt as scary as like starting the thing itself, but just really being confident in your numbers and having a plan and having a support team around you that believes in you, not just your business, but also you as the owner is critical. So, yeah, she really helped me. And of course, my friends and family, and I have such a loyal customer base. They've always supported me in that. But just having someone who's walked the same shoes, pour into me and help me not just, you know, say this is what you're meant to do, but like, okay, let's look at it from a numbers and analytical standpoint so that I can be more confident in that decision.
Absolutely, because it is that balance, right? I mean, you have the emotional side of it, and then
Mhm.
the facts, figures, can I do this side to it, right? And it's finding the good balance between them and understanding if that is the thing that you're going to have to do, you're going to take that chance.
Yeah.
Now, fashion very much is this competitive industry, as you know. So I'm
Mhm.
curious from your perspective, your expertise. What are some of the challenges that you faced in launching and growing? But also, I'm curious about how you've overcome those challenges. Like, what does that look like? Can you walk us through that?
I feel like in the beginning, it was really challenging to find your footing and really understanding like you don't have a ton of customers in the beginning, so understanding, okay, how do I gain more customers and do I truly know who my customer is? And as your business grows, that may evolve over time, just like, your style may evolve over time. But just really being in tune with, do I know my customer and doing everything we do is with excellence. Like the shipping time, the customer service, like if you treat your people well, they will treat you well back. And so, and then also learning to be different. Like you said, fashion is a very diluted industry. So how are you going to plan to stand out? You're not just going to be able to bring in some product and post it and hope it sells. So how are we going to market it differently? And have a clear strategy of how we're going to do that. And then also really digging deep into knowing our customers and creating a real authentic connection with them because there's so many places to shop these days. And so, how do I create a relationship with somebody where they feel loved and connected and inspired and that they're a part of something? Because people want to do business with another person or have that connection. They don't want to just do business with another business and it be a meaningless transaction. So really just understanding your customer and treating her right and developing that connection with her.
Absolutely. And that's something that I think so unique to you and your brand, that
Mhm.
connection you have with your customers. And we've seen that on your social media pages. If we'll include all of the links and things, but you've built such a loyal base, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious, sort of twofold, right? I mean, one is that as you're growing, right, how do you ensure that this message of empowerment stays true to everything, but also with growth comes more strategies that you have to create to build those relationships with your customers. So I'm curious from that mindset that you have now being in this business and building up these strategies, can you tell us more about keeping the messaging, keeping strong relationships with your customers, some of those techniques?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm always sharing our story because what I've learned is people really connect with a story. If you can share your story and maybe they resonate with it and even just 1%, like they'll feel a connection with you. And maybe it's not closed, but maybe it's, being inspired to start their own business of whatever passion they may have. At the end of the day, really just sharing our testimony and our story and always reminding of reminding myself of where we've started and how we even got there and just being so full of gratitude back to my community because we wouldn't be here today without them. So, yeah.
That's so true. I love it so much. And for those listening, you'll see so much of that on social media, just the love that you receive, how you post, um, the beautiful website. You see all of that and you build a relationship with this brand. Now you have some big plans for 2025. And I can't believe that we're already how 2025 is already feel like it's flowing by and just
Yeah, I
going
know.
fast. I can't even believe it. But you have some big plans, pop-up events, talking about potential storefront, like all of these things. What is exciting you about this future of you and your business?
I just, the thing that excites me so much is just the opportunity to continue to meet so many more women and inspire them. Like there's so many untapped channels that we have yet to explore, and that's just even more opportunity to connect with women and just share our story. Maybe it's not, maybe, they don't become a customer, but maybe I can inspire them in a different way to go after their dreams. And to me, that means more than anything than just selling, a style. Um, but yeah, there's a lot on the horizon, lots of untapped networks, lots of growth. And to me, it's glass half full. I always like to think about that for half full.
Love it. I love it. It's just so exciting.
Yeah.
All of this excitement, though, and I don't know what you think about this, and I'm curious. I mean, when we would take the entrepreneurship classes and we'd hear about business and how to become a really successful business owner and entrepreneur, they talk about all the highs, right? They wouldn't talk about the lows.
Mhm.
Do you find like was that your experience too? I'm just remembering some of the classes and things that we took, right? It would feel like it was often like here are all of the great things and not here's some of the struggles that happen when you start your business.
Yeah, and even when I took my classes at Baylor for entrepreneurship, there's a lot of things, granted, like they can't teach you in class. Like they don't, there's a lot of mental growth that has to happen in building up a growing business as well as like managing a team, inspiring a team, creating a culture that people want to be a part of. And then just handling the little fire drills every single day. They happen every single day. And how do you respond to them? And what are your processes? And how do you communicate? And just keeping, yourself grounded. Yeah, and even on Instagram, you see other business owners and it looks glamorous and there are really sparkly, shiny moments to it, but to be able to have those high highs, you also have to experience the low lows.
Absolutely. And I think what's so powerful for many entrepreneurs like you, like me, you have this love for it and this drive for it and this passion for it. And if you don't have that, the lows are going to feel very, very, very low and deep, right? But if you go back to your love for it, right? I think that's kind of what helps push us forward, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I completely agree. And even just learning how to get through the harder days
Mm.
faster so that you can, pop back up and be at 100% the next day. Like that's an evolving cycle for me.
Absolutely. We've had so many great mentors and support systems in our life. Curious about advice that you would share to young women, because so many young women are going to listen to this and have a business idea. Maybe they're afraid to start it. Maybe they're afraid to take that leap. What advice do you have, and maybe what things do you wish that somebody would have told you?
Um, I mean, I always say my number one piece of advice is to just go for it. Like get out of your own way. Stop thinking about the what if this or what if that and just start, even if it's really small. You don't have to have it all figured out on day one. Even where I am now, almost 3 years in business, like I still feel like I don't have it all figured out. Like that feeling may never come. So just start with what you have, even if it's really small, and just try and prove that you have a business concept. You don't have to have it all professionally, you know, oriented and everything. Just start to connect with people, try and get leads, really make those authentic connections because it's what's going to propel your business forward. And don't be afraid to just step out on a limb and go for it. Like you cannot be worried about what people are going to think or if they're going to judge you or this or that. Which is easier said than done, and it still happens to me today. But just knowing like going back to your why and your purpose, like you said, your passion, um, it's what's gonna drive you forward.
Mhm. Absolutely. The why is always going to drive us forward. I love that. Now, next is my favorite question, as everyone knows, listens to this. Love to ask this question. What does unleashing your inner queen mean to you, and how do you unleash your inner queen?
I when I when you when I had heard this question, I the first thing that came to mind was just sharing who you are and showing up authentically in your business every single day. That doesn't mean you have to put on some facade because you're human and you're going to go through things. And just sharing that with your customer base and your community, like you are a real human. And I think the more that you begin to be authentic and vulnerable with those around you, the more that they learn to trust you and really connect with you. And so for me, that's showing up on the good, bad, and ugly and everything in between. Um, and just sharing who I am and not worrying about if my personality shines through. And the people that, not everyone is going to be your customer, but the right people will find you, and it's going about trying to go find those people. Um, so yeah, definitely showing up authentically and being vulnerable. And then another thing that I've learned about, like, it's taken a lot of growth, but showing up as, your inner queen is being able to not only celebrate the wins and the high moments, but also being able to take accountability for the mistakes and taking ownership for those. I think that shows a lot of strength and humility as a business owner because there's going to be growing pains and not everything's perfect. And so just about how you handle it and commu communicate it with people, they really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I love this so much. I'm just so excited for you and just it's just amazing to see the growth and everything that you've done. Just so powerful. Now, if people want to reach out to you, if young women want to connect with you, what's the best way that they can connect?
Well, I'm sure you'll share our socials, but you can message me on Instagram on my personal Abby Lane 28 Instagram, or you can message the store's account, which is Sherry Lane _. Um, we have our email. I'm sure we can link the email as well. And we have a contact us page on our website too. But LinkedIn, any social platform we're on, we'll answer.
I love it. I love it. This is so amazing. I mean, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing your wisdom and your insight, and I can't wait to see where this goes next.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.